Hi guys, this is your host, Susan Kaittany, and welcome to Dangerously Honest. So today we're going to be very dangerous because we have none other than the most dangerous host in Nairobi, Khimani. Drum roll.
How you doing? This is cool. I love this. This is great. Nice to see
Gosh,
you.
nice to see you
Yeah.
outside the reunion in true life.
Yeah.
Like without a suit and me without a gown.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. But it was a nice night.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was dangerous.
It was very dangerous.
You look like you're still reeling from that night.
Like I said, I think I needed like some sort of emotional support when I got home.
Did you get any?
No, but I mean, like, I'm just like how, like, I mean, the anger and like the animosity that came out. I mean,
vitriol.
I don't want to give anything away, but it was so bad. You know what I mean? It started off kind of polite, but that was like 20 minutes, and then it just like you guys just went in. I mean, you were pretty well composed, to be fair. But some of the words that came out of some of these ladies' mouths, I was like, wow, people actually talk to each other like that?
I think they picked a really good host, to be fair.
Thank you.
You were amazing.
Thank you.
I think one of the reasons I was very calm was because of you.
Thank you.
I think you just kept channeling this very, we are zen.
Trying to stay zen in
We
that
are
situation.
zen,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But there were moments where I was just laughing, and I remember the director just kept telling me, Freed, stop laughing. Because it was actually quite funny, some of it.
Were you laughing? I didn't notice that.
I mean,
you were laughing internally.
No, there were some moments that I found funny. You know what I mean?
Like?
I mean, there were a few. I mean, I can't recall them specifically, but there were some where I would just almost start laughing. The director would just be like, "Free, don't laugh." I think it was when, you know, so what happens is you got like 3 women on one side, 3 men on the other side, and for like 45 minutes, there's nothing I was doing. It's just shouting, and the director saying, "Just let them go, let them go." So some of that, you know, then I become like the audience, right, for a little bit. Yeah.
Have you ever had this amount of women? Like, have you ever done anything as crazy as this?
No. I was actually very surprised they picked me, I had to sort of binge watch a number of episodes to
Did you watch everything?
I watched everything except episode 12.
Okay.
Yeah, which was the
Okay.
last one you guys did. I watched 1 to 11. Have I done anything like that before? No. It was.
Is this the wildest thing you've ever done?
It is the wildest TV thing I've ever done. Absolutely. You guys are great. Like, I think that, you know, whoever did the production, whoever did the sort of selection of cast, I can understand why you were all picked, because you're all very different.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to have that kind of controversy and that kind of, you know, mismatch so that there can be some arguments.
It's
like
fireworks.
I mean, like you and Monet are complete opposites, right? And they must have known that going into the show. Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you saw it from the moment I walked in. It was just like, we are polar opposites.
And I mean, if you look at how you were seated, right, directly to my left and directly to my right, I mean, that was obviously also planned as well.
I mean, like, you know, I asked to be seated next to Dr. C. I had no idea that they put me right across her. It was very triggering just facing her.
But I think that was obviously a strategy of the production team, right?
Because I had to stare like into.
I mean, at one point, both of you were looking like in opposite directions of each other. You know
Like,
what I mean? Yeah.
Turn my chair the other way around.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
But on an overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, okay, I think I should do different. Like, you know, so 1 to 10, you had fun. 1 being you were miserable, or 0 being you were
No,
miserable.
10.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, I had a great time. It was great to be with you guys. I know it's a massive show.
Yeah.
So I was really honored to be picked to host it. I think the platform's great. And you guys, I mean, look, it was just to see you guys in person, because there's always going to be that question of, is it scripted? Is it scripted?
Yeah.
Now people ask me and I'm like, that shit
It's
is not scripted.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I keep telling guys that, but I'm so glad that you're saying it because you experienced it.
It's not. I mean, I can tell you now, people ask me all the time, so tell me the truth. Was it scripted? And I'm like, I'm telling you now, like what I saw, we didn't have scripts.
No, we didn't.
And we didn't know where the conversation was going. You know, it was just like trying to get the conversation in one direction and reel it back in. I mean, at one point I had to stand up and tell you guys, ladies, please, you know what I mean?
I remember at some point Dr. C telling you, Fareed,
shut the fuck up. Yeah. And I did. I was like, okay, all right. You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm sure like your earpiece was like, no, Fareed, you have to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to cut that.
But it was exactly at the point where you guys, all 5 of you, I mean, maybe with the exception of Lisa, but to a degree, turned on Sonal. And Dr. C had started that conversation. So I was trying to move into a different direction, not knowing where it was going.
Yeah.
And she really wanted to get that off her chest.
Yeah.
So that's when she said, Fareed, shut the fuck up. She had something to say. And she started on Sonal. My surprise was seeing that you also then felt the need to share how you were disappointed with Sonal and the way she'd been acting as well. Because, I mean, watching the show, you guys are quite close.
I mean, it was very hurtful, to be honest. Like, I can't say that it was you saw me walk out and cry.
Yeah.
I mean, even that was not planned. I mean, nothing is planned.
No, and they need to realize that to the audience as well. Audience, it was not scripted, 100% off the cuff. Yeah, and we had no idea where the conversation was going at all.
Like I went out, I was very emotional. And then, I guess just hearing her say it, that the reason why she broke up or rather threw me under the bus was because I was talking to somebody else.
I think that was one of the parts where I laughed because I was like, like, so, and then you made a very valid point. You're like, so I can't have, if I'm your friend, I can't have any other friends.
Exactly. And we even talked to her again after, and it's still the same.
Which is quite childish. Yeah.
So for me, I just, I mean, we've gone through so much as friends, and then also we've gone through so much again after reunion, after the entire show. So to have that happen to us, like on the reunion, over something so stupid, it's very hurtful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's where it kind of fell apart for her as well.
Yeah.
When she made that comment, because everyone was just like, seriously?
Yeah. But I feel bad because, like, I'm not a bad person. It hurts. Like, it's my real life. It's a real friendship.
I mean, I don't know how you guys agreed. I mean, I guess, I don't know, to have cameras in your faces for that long, all day long, every day. That's crazy. I mean,
Fareed,
you have no downtime, right?
How did you agree to be on the show? Let's start with you. You're the interview. I'm the interviewer.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
I'm
even
confused.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm used to being on that side, but it's fine.
So we're going to swap today.
Okay, yeah. No, okay. So how did I agree? Of course I agreed. It was an incredible opportunity. To be part of like I said, I was very surprised. We had a call with NBC Universal on Zoom in the UK.
Okay.
And I think they were just kind of figuring out if I was the right fit for their brand, blah, blah, blah. But I was very surprised that they asked me. And I didn't hesitate at all. In fact, I was to fly out to the US the day before we shot. So I pushed my trip to the next Saturday.
I remember you were flying to Dubai the very next day.
Yeah.
And I flew a day after.
So I actually ended up spending 1.5 days in the US and coming straight back. I was supposed to be there for 3 days. So, I mean, obviously it was big enough for me to do that. So I was honored.
It is a big franchise. It's the biggest franchise
globally.
In Africa,
it's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even after this, it's going to go on to NBC Universal. It's worldwide.
So it would have been foolish of me to say no. And yes, the question has been asked, would I do it again? I would absolutely do it again. Yeah.
So season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What impressions did you get from binge watching? Because I know you must have just like gone ham on all the episodes.
So I watched the odd episode before because obviously as a producer, as a TV producer, and just hats off to the production team. The production quality was amazing. It was on the standard of all the international versions, whether it's Potomac, whether it's Miami, whether it's Dubai, whether it's Cape Town, Durban, whatever. It is 100% on that level. So from a production interest, I watched it. But then watching the shows again, over again, I think what I realized was that the casting was so well done.
It really was.
They knew that within 2 weeks, there were going to be some issues within the group. And if you have 6 ladies who get along, that's just fucking boring television. You know what I mean?
We went through like a whole test, a personality test. I mean, so I think all the testing definitely makes for some fireworks.
Yeah. And like, you can't have 6 women who just get along for 12 weeks. No one's going to watch that shit. You need to have the fights. And there were some really heartwarming moments. I think when Sonal's driver had the accident, when Minay was the one who was by her side, which is totally surprising. So there were some moments like that were really nice. And then of course...
And people have asked me about that moment, now that you've raised it, because guys are like, I was not there for Sonal, But again, I was hosting. She said she was okay. I mean, like, there's so many things that I also cut out.
Yeah. And I think it came up in the reunion where she was upset about that, clearly.
Yes.
And you raised that, I mean... What does it matter? Providing someone is there for you, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. You've also talked about, like, on the show, because I feel like the show is such a big topic. Like, we would talk about the show like for 2 hours straight.
Right.
Did you have any favorites before hosting?
Yeah. I think my favorites from the show were you and Lisa, and I'll tell you why. Because I just felt like the two of you were the most. The two of you were the most.
Can I just celebrate for a second?
You can. Yay. One of your producers says that my body language is leaning towards you for the whole show, anyway. So, but level-headedness.
Okay.
And also, look, I think you have an incredible story. I think what you've accomplished on your own is really incredible as well. I don't see a lot of bullshit around what you do and say. I'm not saying the other ladies, there's bullshit around them, but
yeah.
and also Dr. C I've known for many years from
Okay.
the days of Samantha's Bridal, and I've filmed with her many times. So I think, yeah, you and Lisa would have been my favorites in terms of, you know,
Lisa, why do you love Lisa so much?
I think it's the maturity, the voice of reason. You know,
I agree.
there's less drama to Lisa
I
than a lot of
agree.
the other people.
I agree.
You know, like I have to be honest, I think Monet as a character is amazing. Because I think every reality show should have a Monet, you know,
There
a troublemaker.
always is a villain.
Yeah. But I would say you and Lisa for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did see that I did go through a lot of body shaming, quote unquote.
Yeah,
We
I've
talked
seen
about
that. Yeah,
that. And some mental health. We even talked about mental health for a bit, because
Yeah.
I've also gone through my mental health issues. You've
Yeah.
also gone through your issues.
Yeah.
So body shaming for me in the show was a thing.
Yeah. And people need to be cognizant of that, you know, and also to understand, you know, I always say this, you know, the social media space for mental health is such a dangerous place to
It
be.
is.
And when parents say my child's being bullied on social media, my response is, well, just get them the fuck off social media then. It's quite simple, you know. As an adult in our industries, you need it. You know, you need to push your brand. I need to push my brand. So I've had to learn over the years that I need to grow a very thick skin. People have said shit
Absolutely.
about me for 20
What's
years.
the worst thing that's been said about you?
The worst thing that's ever been said about me is that I was a closet homosexual.
No way.
Yeah. Which ended up finding its place on Twitter for like,
What?
Yeah. And I think it was just somebody just being an asshole, you know what I mean?
Oh my
Which is so funny to
gosh.
me because, you know, if I was homophobic, I would have got caught offense to it. I'm just not. So even if someone wants to think that, it's fine by me, you know? But I think I managed, you know, my mental health issues do not come from the social media space or from what people say about me. My mental health issues come from a very, very sort of
Different place.
difficult upbringing.
Okay.
My father was very abusive to my mother, and I grew up with that. I can remember that from like the age of 5. And that
must
you
be
know,
tough.
it's awful, you know, because you can't do anything. You can't, yeah.
You're a child. You're
I've come to
helpless.
terms with that. I've sort of managed to get rid of the resentment towards my old man. And through
Is he still alive?
No.
Okay.
Both parents have passed.
Okay.
My mum actually
Okay.
passed last year.
Okay, I'm
But-
sorry.
Yeah,
Very-
thanks for that. Yeah. But through my recovery from addiction, I've managed to come to terms with things that were never in my control anyway. And you know, I do a lot of mentorship for addicts as well. And generally, addiction and mental health are so
They're very
Of
close.
course.
They are very, because like, it's a whole.
Yeah, but you
it's
know,
a whole world.
the substances, the drugs and the alcohol, which I'm familiar with, things like cocaine and booze, are a symptom of a bigger problem, which is usually a mental health issue.
Absolutely.
And we're using those to numb some sort of pain that I only figured out what it was when I was in rehab. And it was years and years of pain. And
Farid, we can just talk about your mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues and like what led you to the addiction. Could you start from the top? This is our first time really talking about
Sure.
this, and I'm really grateful that you're being honest.
yeah, of
about
course.
it.
I mean, I think Dangerously Honest is a great name for the podcast. You want something like,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
So I think for me, my issues, you know, growing up in a household like that is obviously a problem. I went through a lot of years of trying to figure out who I was in very white parts of the United States.
You grew up in the States.
Yeah, I spent 18 years in North Florida.
Okay.
And which is, you know, people say Florida, Miami. I'm like, that's South Florida. North Florida is Bible Belt,
Oh,
redneck.
wow.
The first thing said to me when I was 8 years old, we moved from the UK, getting on the school bus in my school, someone said to me, "Hey monkey, where's your tail?"
Oh,
That was the
no.
first thing said to me. So
What?
you suppress these things? Yeah, you suppress these things. And I used to get bullied and beaten up in school all the time because everyone else was like white. And I would go home and my father would be, you know, angry and abusive. And I would go to him and say, "I can't go back to that school." And he would say,
You have to go back
what
to
are you,
that
some
school.
sort of
You're a
fucking
man.
baby, go back.
Oh
So
my
it was this ping-pongy
gosh.
thing that went on for, 10 years. And then I started playing sports and I put on a bit of size and all my friends became like black Americans and no one fucked with me ever again.
Of course, you had to fight back.
Yeah. And I did. But then you cover all that shit up, you know.
Of course.
And then of course coming to Kenya in 2000, getting a job in media, I went from being a nobody to being like
Superstar.
one of the most recognized voices and faces. I was working on TV with DSTV, and let me go back a bit. I was a bartender during university, and that's where my drug and alcohol problem actually began.
Okay. Although being a bartender is really cool.
And we were flair bartenders, flipping bottles.
Oh
It was
my
the whole thing, right?
gosh.
So it's so interesting. I ended up working at a bar called the Rock Bottom Brewery, which was the beginning of my rock bottom, you know? And that's where I discovered drugs. And then coming to Kenya, just got into it. And I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Okay.
I didn't see anything wrong with providing for my family. I didn't see anything wrong with making sure we lived in a big house. But the house was empty. It was a shell because I was constantly either fucked up or
Of
hungover.
course,
And that was
yeah.
my life.
But that's the norm also. That's a Nairobi life for most people. I mean, it sounds pretty normal to me.
It is. Yeah. And people just accept it, right?
It's normalized.
The thing about
we
it
drink
is,
and it's a thing,
and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And people will start drinking at 11, 12, 1 o'clock, and I didn't see anything wrong with where I was headed because I'm a very functional addict. So I could go to work. I mean, I was doing morning radio. I was getting like 2, 3 in the morning, and I was up on air at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I remember that. We all used to tune into you.
Right.
You were like but it was such a big deal.
But it was easy for me until it wasn't. And I remember one of the last things, I've told this story a few times in the last few weeks, which is very interesting actually, because it keeps coming up. My then wife, we're now divorced.
Okay. I'm also divorced, so safe space.
So, okay. Dating? No, I'm just kidding. We can talk about that later. No, but my wife then said to me once, when we go out with friends, please don't drink. And I was like, okay, no problem. That's not a problem. It was a problem because I couldn't not drink. So I would put a bottle of whiskey in the boot of the car and just be like, I'm going to the bathroom. And just go and start drinking whiskey from the boot of the car. Even then, I didn't think there was a fucking problem with that. So I ended up going to rehab because my whole family got together. And they're
wow.
We've booked you to this place in South Africa. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, wow.
I've been in recovery now for 5+ years.
Congratulations.
No,
That's big.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's amazing. There's a whole life that I don't have any guilt or shame or regrets. I did initially. I lived a good life. I enjoyed every moment of getting fucked up. You know what I mean? And it sounds terrible when I talk about it.
I love it. I love it because everybody is like, guys are so ashamed about that part.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're speaking.
I love it. I love it. I was chasing a high that I couldn't find for 23 years. I was like looking for something, and you get almost to that point. And you're like, okay, if I just go a little bit harder tomorrow, I can get to that point. Never got there.
I feel like we've all at some point chased highs.
Yeah.
Just to be fair.
Absolutely.
So I mean, in different ways.
Yeah.
Could be relationships.
Yeah,
could be alcohol.
absolutely.
Could be.
And by the way, they're all intertwined because I am a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a sex and love addict. All those things are intertwined.
Usually they go
Absolutely,
together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when I went to rehab, I remember walking in, and that was first day of group counseling. I'm like, these fucking grown men crying. I'm never gonna be like these fucking babies. You know what I mean? I think I used the word pussies. And I'm not like you. I'm not like you.
You were the coolest guy, basically. I'm a superstar back in Kenya. Like, I'm not like you guys.
But in week 2, I was weeping, and once it started, it couldn't stop. But it's all cathartic. It's all therapeutic. And I had a devastating blow happen. My wife left with my kids while I was in rehab and moved to Switzerland, where she's from. No, we're on great terms now. She's my best friend. I'm in and out all the time.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. I go all the time. But all these things happened to teach me a lesson in my life, and that is that I can never use drugs or drink again. And it is the most valuable lesson. And I've had a lot of success in my career and in different areas of my life. The most proud I am of what I've done, and the hardest thing I've done is getting sober.
Farid, can we just I'm so impressed. You are so impressive.
Thank you.
You are so self-aware.
Thank you.
And obviously you've grown so much.
Thanks.
And it's just the depth.
Thank you. Yeah. No, thank you. But that's all part of the package, right? Because when you can't numb, so the alcohol and drugs, what does that do?
It kills, you kill yourself.
And it stops you from thinking it stops you from getting in touch with yourself. I have moments now where I'll sit there and I'll be in a setting at a bar or a restaurant, and I'll be looking at people pouring wine, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I'd do anything for a glass. And I'm honest with my friends. I'll just be like, listen, I'm going to go. I'm feeling very close to a drink.
Of course.
But there are times when I'm out with people and they're drinking and I don't feel a thing, So it's a daily program. It's something I do every day.
I don't think there's a day that you'd ever say you're truly there. It's a daily thing.
No. Even in my AA and Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings, I still introduce myself as a drug addict and alcoholic. And people are like, but you've been clean for 5 years. I'm like, no, that's a disease I'll carry for the rest of my life.
Forever.
Yeah. And the second I think I don't have it is when I'll relapse. Yeah.
You must never I'm here. Can we just
These are mocktails.
Mocktails. Courtesy of Dusit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers to being sober.
Oh, wow.
Really good, huh? Kiwi and for me, strawberry.
Really nice. Yeah.
Farid, so at what point did you, because in the rehab you told me it was a 2-week journey in.
Yeah, 2 weeks before I decided I was going to open up.
Okay.
I was there for 35 days.
Okay, not too long.
No.
So that's a very effective rehab. Most rehabs need you to be in there longer.
Yeah, it's usually 9 weeks. So I went in saying that I will do it, but I'll do it for 28 days, which is normally just for the alcoholics. Then if it's drugs, they usually extend it. And then when my wife left, the day that I got the email that she had left, I wanted to
All
leave.
this happened to you while you were in rehab.
In rehab, yeah,
what
yeah.
the?
yeah.
Like, what is up with these three things? So what was the third? Because I'm sure you have a third.
I think
you can find one.
Yeah, I'm sure I can. But I remember when I got the email from my wife, they actually printed it in the rehab center and said, "Listen, we've got some bad news for you." Blah blah blah.
Why did
blah,
you
blah.
have to do it when you were in rehab, though?
It's a question that I've now forgone asking, and that we are at peace.
Okay.
I said at that day when I got the email, I'm like, I'm leaving, and they're like, no, you can't leave, and I'm like, it's not a fucking prison. I can leave. I'm 43 years old. I'll fucking go if I want to. So they ended up talking to me for about 6 hours, and then I ended up adding an extra week. Because I knew if I went home and at the end of 28 days,
you would have completely,
we'd
there's nothing to go back to.
Yeah. But I do remember going home after 35 days, and we had a big house in Lavington, which was 3 stories and 3 cars outside. And I went straight to my oldest son's room, and his closet was completely empty.
My God.
And I just sat on his bed and I just wept.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
God,
but I stayed sober. I stayed sober through that. And now I always say, there's nothing the world can throw at me that could make me drink.
Nothing that's harder than that, because you lost everything.
But the skills, Susan, I'll give you this. This is what I've learned in recovery, and this is really important. I'm sure you're one of those people that practices a lot of gratitude. I can just tell by who you are.
For sure.
You look at your life and you say,
for sure, every day.
But it's very easy to be grateful when things are going well, right? So if today I get 3 clients booking me to direct TV commercials, they call me and say, we want you to be the host of Real Housewives season 2. All these great things happen. Of course, I'll be grateful. I'll go home and be grateful. The skill in life is to find a situation that can break you, that can kill you, and find that gratitude. So I'll tell you 2 situations in my life. Okay. Number 1, my wife left with my kids when I was in rehab. Most people say
that is rock bottom.
That's rock bottom.
You can't beat that.
People will say you can never forgive her, right? My family didn't want to talk to her, and I said, if I can get over it, you can get over it. What's my gratitude? 2 things. She could have easily stopped me from ever seeing my children again. I was hiding so much shit for 10 years that came out when I was in rehab.
It's incredible that you can find gratitude in that.
But she could have done that.
Yeah,
what would I have done?
That's
the second thing is, what if I couldn't afford to fly in and out of Switzerland whenever I wanted to?
True.
Gratitude. My mom died March 18th, 2022.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
I went I relapsed on the day we buried her, which was the 19th, just drinking. Tuesday, I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and I shared about my mom dying and my relapse. And then I said, but I have gratitude. And everyone's looking at me like, your mom died 3 days ago. And I said, I found gratitude in the fact that for the 3 years my mom was dying of cancer, I was sober. So she saw the real me for those 3 years.
Present.
Yeah, present, available.
I see.
And she saw the real authentic me. So that's the skill. When you find gratitude in the shittiest situations, that's real gratitude. Gratitude when things are going well is not gratitude. Because, if everything's going in your favor, it's very easy to be grateful. Find it in those dark moments. That's the real skill.
This is so powerful. You don't even know. It's hit me like a ton of bricks.
Thank you.
I'm glad. For real. I think you came here today to just remind me that.
Good.
That is beautiful. And you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In case no one has told you.
Thank you.
You really are. It's just it's a human experience, and that's what makes you so beautiful. The fact that you're able to be vulnerable, the fact that you're able to share. I think it's not everybody who has, especially in Kenya, you know what it's like here. There's a lot of toxic
and you got to be closed off.
Yeah, as a man, you're raised to be, a man who should not, open up about things like this. So I love it that you're out of the box.
I think, we must realize as people who are in the limelight, and also now, you were in the limelight before, but even more so now because of Real Housewives, is that if you're given this gift of a platform,
what are you going to do with it?
Use it. I've done so many talks online on addiction and mental health. I've done talks in conferences about it as well. I work with the Aga Khan Brain and Mind Institute helping young addicts.
Oh, wow.
I'm a certified addiction counselor as of this year.
I saw that on your profile. Actually, did read you up, and your bio is amazing. Everything that you're doing for mental health.
We should be using these platforms. We can't just sit here and then what tomorrow I get hit by a bus and someone goes, did he leave a legacy? No.
You're chasing clout
Yeah.
and you were just being popular and, getting all the chicks in your DMs.
Absolutely.
Well, you get lots of chicks in your DMs.
I do.
Tell me about
Some
that.
dudes as well, you know what I mean?
No way.
So I have a guy who handles my social media, and every now and his name's Marvin. So Marvin, if you're watching this, you'll know, because he sort of like goes through my, like, for instance, he's the one who replied to your producer.
Correct.
Actually, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's why the days got confused. So sorry for that.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So he's like, he'll just like highlight like some dude saying, the other day someone said, some dude's like, you probably don't want to hear this, but I have a big crush on you.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, who's this chick? And I'm going to the profile. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a guy. You know what I mean?
So what's the most outrageous, thing that you've had from a woman hitting on you, or a guy, or offer?
Oh, wow. Most outrageous offer. I had an older woman in my DMs. She must have been about mid to late 50s.
Was she hot?
She was attractive.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Offering to fly me to Rome for dinner.
No way.
Yeah.
Tell me you went.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Shucks.
I didn't.
But that was tempting.
Yeah, it might have been. I might have been catfish. It could have been like some old man.
There's
you know
a lot
what I
of
mean?
catfishes as well. Well, I also get a lot of crazy.
You must.
Yeah,
especially
I do.
now.
I do. Well, I think it's always been there.
Right.
So I think for women, it's a lot more than for guys. Well, for you, I mean, there's not enough good-looking men in Nairobi. So,
so good. I'm in the top of the list. Great.
You are probably like in the top 5
No,
of
that's
the list.
great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
congratulations,
Thank
you made
you.
it.
Thank you.
I'm speaking it. He's available. You said you're available, right?
I'm really not actually available right now. No.
Okay.
I actually recently met somebody.
Oh, nice. Tell us about that.
Okay, I'll just say, I'll give you the overview. I recently met somebody.
Okay.
She's incredible.
Okay.
And I think that I can honestly say that if 40 odd years, 47, 48 years of, especially the last 5 years of a lot of heartache and pain, it was all designed for this moment.
Oh, Fareed.
Yeah.
I should be doing the whole Tom Cruise. Was it Tom Cruise on the sofa?
jumping on the
Yes,
couch,
this is me right now, wanting to.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
So I was actually telling her the other day that I feel that all the hard stuff I've been through for the last 5 years was leading up to this, because then it makes it kind of all worth it. Because there's a lot of growth that's happened in 5 years as well, and I feel like if I'd met this person a year ago, it wouldn't
You
have
were
been
not
the same.
ready.
Yeah.
Is she from Nairobi?
She is.
Yay! Nairobi, yes. Whoever you are, you're watching and you're listening.
Yeah.
He's happy.
I will definitely make sure she gets the link to this podcast.
No, I'm so happy. You're in such a good space.
I am.
You look so happy. You're vibrant. I'm so happy for you, Fareed.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm so happy that we could spend time together. I really felt a connection with you on Real Housewives, and I'm not just saying that. Out of all the women that were there, and I guess that's probably why my chair was leaning.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at your producer here.
I also
leaning
felt,
towards you.
honestly, the reason I, towards the end, I really felt like leaving, but I stayed on because of you.
I know, and I remember asking you a few times when you were saying, I've got to go, and I was like, please don't leave.
And I really did stay because of you, Fareed. There's an energy that you gave me. I could just tell you're a nice guy.
I felt like you were being attacked for no reason by a lot of. Well, I think it was actually just really Monet and Vera at one point, and Sonal towards the end.
Yes.
I felt like you were being attacked for no reason. Even during the show, I never looked at you as you can say someone who's two-faced, but I never saw you like that. I felt like what you were giving to the girls, you were giving not for television.
No,
it was
no.
because
it was
that's
for
who you
real.
were. Yeah, and everyone's going to get caught up saying one thing and maybe doing another. That's normal life. We do that with or without cameras in our face all the time. But no, I didn't, and I felt like that the shit that was being said to you.
Yeah.
And I understood why you got up and left at one point. I did understand that. Yeah.
I think the one thing that you never prepare for, like in being in a reality show, is just the amount of meanness you get, even when you're good.
Did you have any idea? I know I'm not supposed to be interviewing you. Did you have any idea it was going to be like that?
No idea. So literally, you just meet this, just like your interview with NBC.
Yeah.
You're told that this is a cast, and then voila, we're shooting day one. So no idea.
Was it really invasive? Were there moments when you knew crew was coming over and you're like, I can't fucking do this shit
all the
today?
time.
Right.
All the time. I was over it. I was exhausted. There was times I was drained. I was exhausted. I missed my old life. I missed my friends. I missed my family. Yeah, it does get to you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
By the reunion, I was truly just, and then I think it gets to you because of the amount of toxicity. Like when because you don't get to choose the cast. So therefore, you're stuck with these people.
Yeah, I always thought that it was like real friends.
No, okay, not really.
But you and Sonal did know each other.
We did know each other, yes. But then you don't know people to this extent. There's something that happens when you're bottled up, like for continuous periods with these people.
You
it's
can blame
insane.
Big Brother for this shit because they started
it's some
this
Big
shit.
Brother shit.
Yeah.
It definitely is. So Farid, okay, I'll ask you one last question from a production angle because of course you are Mr. Production. You have worked for MultiChoice. You have your own production company. Yeah. I mean, you did see everything that goes on in our show from an outsider's perspective, from an insider's perspective, and there's a lot of booze. There's, of course, there's people with all types of challenges, mental health illnesses, and all that. Like all types of people. What do you think? Like with alcohol and all our issues, when everything collides and combines, it's toxic and it's crazy. What's your view on it? I mean, being a mental health and from a recovering alcoholic, I think you're the best placed and also host, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'll this is really an unpopular opinion, but look, everyone who's on the show signed a contract.
Correct.
Everyone disclosed what they were going through. I would imagine there was some psychological evaluation, right?
Absolutely.
And everyone is being paid. And from a production perspective, I think that the way it was handled is, look, at the end of the day, you signed up for it. They need good TV. Those things have to meet. I think that many of you survived relatively unscathed. Someone like yourself, who seems to be glowing and happy, because you took into consideration that it wasn't going to be easy.
Yeah,
if you went in there thinking you wanted to do it strictly for the fame,
no,
and for the clout, and then all of a sudden you're complaining about your mental health, you shouldn't have signed a contract. And I'm not pointing out anyone, but I think you can see where I'm going with this.
For sure.
It's what I always say to people who are saying, "Oh my God, people are being so mean to me on Twitter." Well, get the fuck off Twitter. That's how you preserve your mental health. If if it's clout chasing, stay on Twitter, but be prepared to be bullied.
It's well said, actually, because there's somebody I talked to from the production company from South Africa, actually, and I was like, the show really is hurting me at some point, and they're like, stop watching it. Simple. And I did stop. I haven't even watched the reunion today.
And take a break from social media. Human beings should take a break from social media from time to time.
Yeah.
I should follow that advice myself because I'm
Could you ever stay off social media?
No, I couldn't. But also because of career, it's hard.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that these shows are designed. If you're a Real Housewives franchise fan, you will see a common thread through all of them.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of fucking conflict.
For sure.
People are calling each other a lot of shitty names, right?
For sure.
So when you sign that contract, if it's from a place of pure, I want to be on a reality show, I'm not going to take it that seriously, I'm going to have fun with it, fucking go for it. If you sign that contract and you're taking 10 pills for mental health a day, maybe you should think to yourself,
you should not have signed the
it?
contract. Exactly. Because you need to know that everything is fair game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And your life, you've decided to sign away your life. Yeah. It is going to be fair game.
If you wanted the money and the fame, then there's something that goes with that. I remember years of back being on radio before there was social media, and the anonymity of what I did was wonderful. I can't walk in a mall right now without someone saying, "Oh my God, we listen to you every morning." And sometimes you're just like,
how do you handle that?
I take pictures with them. I smile. I hang out with their kids. Because I've chosen this life, and that's part of this life. And would I get one without the other? No. So I'll take the good and the bad, and it's not bad. To be honest with you, someone tells you that
it's not so bad. No. Like, I feel like from my experience at the Real Housewives, like there's a lot of hate online. There's also a lot of positive stuff, but like in true life, everybody celebrates you. Yeah. Do you get that? Like every time you go somewhere, it's pictures. Yeah. There's so lovely, much love.
Yeah. And if it's coming from a place of purity, like you're doing it for the right reasons. And I would imagine for you, you probably came off, maybe 2 or 3 of you from the show, the least hated.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be the other 2 or 3 that are the most hated.
Absolutely.
And you can spin this any way you want now. You're a great host sitting here with you now, I'm seeing. You can spin this any way you want. Like, I think for you now, your career as Susan Kaittany is going to be on a different level, but it's how you approach it. If you're happy to be the person that people are going to stop, and even people are going to tell you you're a bitch, you did this, that's okay. That's an opinion, and everyone's fucking got one. You know what I mean?
It's fame.
Yeah.
It's all fame.
Not everyone's going to love you.
But Farid, you're amazing. You killed it. I can't wait to see how you'll do it for season 2.
Let's hope they call me back.
No, they will. I could not have thought of anybody
Thank
better.
you.
I'm just saying
Thank
that
you.
because you were fair, you were funny, you were interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
We loved you. I
Thank
loved
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so what's next for you? What's coming after Housewives reunion?
I'm
What's next?
being cast in a Netflix film, a Tanzanian film. Not as a main cast, but I'm in the film.
That's big. Netflix is big.
I've started working on a show with Frankie Just Jimmit and John Allen Namu.
Nice. What's that about?
It's called All Things Dude, but it's a vulnerability podcast, but there is actually some activity with it as well.
Okay.
So our first episode was filmed, and it was all about our biggest fears. And funnily enough, all three of us, our biggest fears was not being good fathers.
I am so glad that finally you are having this space for men. Because like I said, there's not enough vulnerable spaces
And
for
I couldn't
men.
think of two better dudes to do it with, because you just can't imagine us three talking about how we fear not being good fathers, in a room. And then obviously, John being such a big celebrity.
I love John.
Yeah, Frankie. This sort of
Frankie is controversial.
buff, cool guy.
I could not imagine him being controversial. He's very controversial.
But he was very vulnerable as well.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
A lot has been said about him.
Yeah, no, he's a really cool guy.
Okay.
Yeah, deep down inside, he's a very cool guy. I can just see, the image itself, kind of like, okay, but yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
No, all I'll say is thank you. You've been amazing. I look forward to. I wish I could come on your podcast, but now it's only for men.
No, of course we'll have women on our podcast.
I could come and, hand over the drinks.
No,
possibly.
You should come on the podcast, but also you came to Capital and you didn't come on my show.
Well.
You went on the show after mine, so I'll have you back. I'll have you back.
Call me for your show.
Yeah,
I'll come. Anything for you, Farid.
Absolutely. Thank
and I'm
you.
happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm rooting for your love.
Thank you.
And I'm rooting for your happiness.
Thank
I
you.
am invested. I will
Thank
call
you.
you once a month
That's
to check
fine.
that
You
you're
can call
doing
me
well.
anytime you want.
Good. So this is amazing. Farid Khimani, the amazing Real Housewives host, Capital FM. I mean, he's such a big superstar in Kenya. And I'm just so honored that you honored me today.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful.
Asante sana, and thank you for being dangerous.
Yeah, thank you.